What's up, guys? I'm here with Delilah Dawson, again, second year in a row. This year we have chairs, we're not sitting on the floor, and now you've got your first novel under your belt, so it's been a big year for both of us.
These are very official with chairs.
So, obviously, we're going to talk about Phasma, because it just came out. I'm 2 chapters in, and it's kind of killing me that I can't just blow through it like I normally do, but so far so good.
Awesome, okay, you're still reading, that's what we're looking for.
How does it feel to, and I think I knew that you were a fan of Phasma already, so how does it feel to have added to her story, and what drew you to the character in the first place?
It's amazing. Phasma, much like the old school Boba Fett, all we see at first is, a blank mask. We don't know what's going on under there. We don't know who is under there exactly. And it's like a great costume plus an enigma is a really good combination. But when Star Wars came to me with this book, the main goal was, outside of telling like a great Star Wars story, was that we wanted to understand better why she did what she did at Starkiller Base, because there's a lot of frustration with that, because when the figure came out and the Annie Leibovitz photos came out for The Force Awakens, we're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Then we heard it was going to be Christie, and it was really amazing. And then like she didn't do what I think we all hoped she would do in the movie, and so we wanted to give an insight into who she is and why she does what she does.
Like you mentioned, she's very similar to Boba Fett, and I think it can be difficult when you explore someone that just has like cool armor at first, and then it kind of can get rid of the mystery. But how was it writing for a character that's like that, that's just kind of a blank slate, and was it challenging to know when to like reveal something or to hold back?
Well, the great thing about Star Wars is that while you get to make a lot of choices, you've got a super wonderful support team in between the story group, which is like walking, talking encyclopedia of Star Wars, that they just know everything, even things that we don't know yet, and also the editors, who are amazing editors and big fans. And so, I went out to the Lucasfilm offices in San Francisco and sat down with everybody. We started to hash out the story and see what the different groups wanted to see happen, and also what had come down from, the director, and from, as we saw in the interview, that Rian Johnson's been talking to Gwendolyn about, where they want to go and what they're going to do with the character. So there were all of these different influences, but as you know, in the book, it's kind of got 2 different timelines going. It's an interrogation book. But basically, the story within the story, I had a ton of freedom with. They just said, we want to see kind of like Mad Max Star Wars, with these characters in a really harsh, unforgiving environment and how they get from A to B. And so it was almost like I got to write a mini book inside of the larger book. And it was super exciting, and I got a lot of leeway with that. And then, they had some suggestions, but they're never like, have this happen. They're like, oh, show this, show that. It was really enjoyable.
Did you know that you were going to write Phasma last year when we talked?
No. October 19th. Last year, it was 2 days before my birthday. I got the email. It was a really good birthday, and it was just I've made noises I've never made before. It was so exciting. But they're like, we can't tell you anything until you sign the NDA, but it might have to do with a certain chrome-plated trooper, and I was freaking out.
So you mentioned the story group. Did they give you any story beats at all, or was it just all up to you to tell whatever you wanted out in that kind of Mad Max setting?
Well, writing a Star Wars book is, when I write a book at home, I do whatever I want. When you write a Star Wars book, it's the outlining process is a lot more extensive, where, I pitch ideas, they come back with what they like out of those stories, I pitch the next idea, they come back with what they like, and they add more and make suggestions or say, well, how can you show this? So it's very much a back and forth and a dialogue. But I think that the outline takes almost as long as writing the book, because once we have the outline, I can do whatever I want. But until we have the outline done, I can't get started.
I was really excited to see Brindle Hux pop up again, and now we have the Cardinal, who I'm already obsessed with. I saw his image, and I was like, that looks so good. How is it different when you're working with a character like the Cardinal that you created versus working with like Brindle Hux, who has some backstory from Jason Fry and Chuck Wendig?
Well, it was super kind of fun because I had to write Brindle. I got like advanced copies of, I think, Emperor's End wasn't out yet, so they sent me all of Chuck's books, which I read because Chuck Wendig is awesome and one of my good friends. And yeah, I also went back digging through like all of my, reference books and character encyclopedias and the Wikipedia, of course. But I feel like Brindle is one of those characters that we like you'd love to hate him, like we know who he is at no point are you like, hey, maybe this is like a cool guy. So that was fun. It just in the way of I think one of my favorite moments was I described him as like you know skinny arms and legs and a paunch. Um, Whereas Cardinal, we knew the ideals and the feelings of the character, but I got to create, more his backstory, what he looked like. We knew his ideals and we knew we wanted him as a foil to Phasma, but, like I got to pick where they asked me who the fan casting was. Like all these characters, when we were doing the special editions for Target and Walmart and Barnes & Noble. And they say, like, who's your ideal Phasma? And I was like, oh, Kalani Robb from... he's a surfer, but he was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall for just a few minutes, and I was like, that he looks just like that. Yeah, and my editor was like, "Oh my God, you're right!" It's like we're all on this, and there's a character that's inspired by Jason Momoa, and a character that I think looks like his wife in real life, Lisa Bonet. So yeah, it was super fun making Cardinal and giving him lines, and I love. We talk sometimes about, like, on the Death Star, there were dudes that were just up there to get the dental plan for their kids by installing toilets that maybe, they were like, I'm part of a giant galactic machine. He was like, Lisa needs braces. But I love that Cardinal is that person that he gives us a viewpoint into the people that are in the First Order that are like, that think that they are good people that are doing good in the world.
So most of your work has been in the sequel era. That's not quite true because we're going to get a certain point of view coming soon. I'm sure you can't tell us what story you're doing, but if you could write another novel in any era, and maybe any character, what would you choose?
I would love to see a Bazine novel. I really think she could kind of take over the Boba Fett mantle as far as here's someone having side adventures throughout the universe that maybe aren't as necessarily tied into, they're so tricky right now with like the Jedi and the First Order with what you can and can't do, but I think she could like go out there in the wild west of space and have a great time. Lots of characters from Maz Kanata's palace. I'd love to see a young Maz. I'm really interested in Admiral Haldo. Would like to learn more about her. I think she's in Claudia Gray's Princess of Alderaan that just came out. But I love the female characters, especially that we're getting to do so many stories that are women led, and like I love that we get finally a female villain.
The idea of a young Maz story is very interesting because we could go back 1,000 years, and yeah, that's a great idea. From what I can tell, you have kids who also like Star Wars, so what's it like to be able to share with them, like, creators or characters that you have created and added to the universe?
Both of my kids are quietly name dropped in Phasma. And in the opening sequence, I created an animal for my son. He really loves hippos, so I named an animal called the Hippo Glace. That's like a glacier hippo that I was like, that's for him. So it's really exciting. I mean, you get this like very small amount of time with kids where you're cool. My kids are 8 and 11, and I've had the moment where they came back from camp one day this summer, and we're like, we told our counselor he was wearing a Star Wars shirt, and we told him you were writing Phasma, and he freaked out, and you're cool. And I was like, this is the one time I get to be cool. So yeah, it's really neat, and they're such fans. My son plays SWOTOR a lot, so there's like a couple nods to like my husband and my son's like SWOTOR group in there. But it's really neat. It's like it's a full family thing. We're all into it. We've been there like for the midnight showings of Force Awakens and Rogue One, and it's so special. And they love it in their own ways, which is nice too.
I saw you, since we're at Dragon Con, I saw you tweeting out your survival tips, and I thought that was a lot of fun, and just, you clearly love Dragon Con. So what is your favorite part about being here?
It's everything. Writers toil at home alone, in pajamas and darkness, and you come here and it's like, here are people that are my colleagues that I can hang out with and talk with. Here are amazing readers and fans that we can just geek out over stuff together, and it's getting to see that people are interested in your books is wonderful. Getting to walk through the crowds and feel the energy and just see the love of everything. Everything about DragonCon is predicated on just being passionate about things unapologetically, and I love that.
Me too. Well, the book is Phasma. It just came out. Go read it. Read Scorched. Read Perfect Weapon. Read A Certain Point of View when that comes out. And what other works would you like to share, and how can people keep up with you?
Okay, well, my website is whimsydark.com. If you like Phasma and you're thinking, I wonder if she writes violent women, that's pretty much my thing that I do, is I write a bunch of violent women. I have a series right now. It's called the Shadow series. The first book is Wake of Vultures. It's going to be a 4-book series. The third book is out this October, but it's basically Lonesome Dove meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So again, you get a woman who's out there killing stuff. But on my website, you can find all of my books, my events, and if you're a writer, I didn't write my first book until I was 31, and I'm all about paying it forward, so I've got the resources I use to get published. You can ask me ungoogleable questions on Twitter, and I will try to answer them, because we're all in this together.
Well, thanks so much for talking with me again 2 years in a row, and thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.